After a long and bloody battle with the Martians, we have finally taken a colony on their planet. We now reside here on Mars. The Grindhouse podcast will now air to you from beneath the surface. The air is getting thin, and this might be the last we broadcast. We don't know.
Ah, yes, come in. Our featured presentation is about to start. You have entered into cult cinema with the dastardly evil Cheese Film and my partner in crime, Hecubus. This is the Grindhouse Podcast. We're coming to get you, Barbara.
Welcome back to the Grindhouse Podcast. I am your host, Cheese Film, and I am joined today with Mr. Hecubus.
They call me Mr. Hecubus.
They call me Mr. Hecubus. And of course, our droid in disguise, Randy Official.
Hello.
Yes, he is completely and totally AI generated. But today we are coming at you with Total Recall, a classic 90s movie starring the one and only Arnold Schwarzenegger. It is also directed by Mr. Paul Verhoeven and written by Philip K. Dick.
Well, it's his story. We can remember it for You Wholesale is the story that it's based on.
Okay.
Loosely based on.
Because Ronald Shusett Dan O'Bannon,
Dan O'Bannon.
and John Povel. I don't know how to pronounce it. Pavel.
Who cares? Dan O'Bannon is the one.
Yeah. Helped come up with the story that we see today. And pretty coolly, too, I listened to the commentary by the two biggest fans of this movie, Arnold and Paul, who just fanned out about the whole thing.
That's cool. I got to hear that. I didn't know about that until today. And I want to check that out bad.
And one of the first things I wrote down from my notes from their little conversations was this movie was written by committee. Those guys just kept bouncing ideas off each other, and it didn't stop.
But they worked. They landed too. All of them.
He's like, yeah, I finally got the script, and I guess Arnold was the first one to see the script for this movie, and then he contacted Paul because Paul just did RoboCop.
Right.
And Arnold liked RoboCop. And he's like, well, I got to work with this guy.
And I can't remember. I couldn't remember which actor's name it is. Shoot. He's the bad guy in RoboCop,
Fred?
the head of the corporation, and he really wanted to be a bad guy in a corporation with Paul Verhoeven again. So he jumped on the chance to work on this movie.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun to watch the commentary on this movie with the director talking about it too.
Right.
Because little things that you and I could sit here and debate over, he got to give his insight on why we're debating over.
Right, yeah.
Which my whole note sheet is just about like the techniques they used, how they did it, because a lot of this stuff is
cutting
practical
edge. Yeah.
Shot with blue screen and
matte
very
paintings.
little is blue screen actually, and matte paintings.
Yeah, the Mars the matte, because they filmed it in the Valley of Fire. Some of it was filmed in California, but there's a set of Mars that was enormous. It was like too big.
Really?
And it was a burden for them to work with. Yeah, I just watched the thing about that, and they look great.
They do. They're really awesome.
Yeah.
A lot of this was also shot in Mexico City.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Recall building is the military's academy down in Mexico City.
Yeah, and they're walking around. It's kind of like, I don't know, the town square or something. That was their subway system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a part where Arnold gets in a taxi and he's doing like this donut.
Yeah.
Rounded thing. That's an actual shopping mall.
Right.
Or a shopping
center.
Yeah, where it's just round.
Yeah.
It's just it. So they took advantage of that.
They shot it in Mexico City, and I guess they had a hard time. It was the most smog-filled city in the world at the time.
Wow.
And everybody got sick, except one guy. He wouldn't. Two guys. Like the food made people sick, and of course the water made people sick. But Arnold Schwarzenegger had his own chef, and food flown in every day. And another guy would only use bottled water. I think he was one of the producers. And the only time Arnold Schwarzenegger got sick was when he had to actually eat the food from there. But everybody was. When you watch this, everybody's nauseous.
Well, that's pretty interesting because a lot of this is red colored.
Yeah.
So I think they hid that really well. Mr. Randy Official, have you seen Total Recall?
I technically have.
Technically.
I didn't watch it recently, but I have seen the movie, and I've seen the iconic scene that I'm trying to pull up.
Which one?
With their faces blowing up, probably.
Yeah. Their faces all like,
Oh my God.
where they look gross.
You might have to go back to the other stand for that.
When me and my brother went to go see this when it first came out, and just for something to do, didn't really know anything about it. I cracked up the entire movie when that scene you're talking about, and there's another one on there, Randy Official, that when he's pulling that thing out of his head, cracking up. The stuff it was like a cartoon, a live action cartoon, and I like this movie.
I love this movie. I think, and I've got a pretty good appreciation for this movie too. It is constantly referenced in pop culture now. It never really went out of the zeitgeist.
No.
Here we are. It came out in 1990. They shot it in 89. We're in 2025.
Yeah.
And they did the commentary in 2001, and they were like, "Wow, I cannot believe it's still relevant. Can you believe that 10 years?" I was like, yeah, I'm talking about it 24 years later.
I happened to watch like a making of kind of thing about this today, and Arnold Schwarzenegger had to wear motion caption stuff, and that was brand new in 1990.
Really?
So yeah, and he was supposed to wear all black, and he wore white, and they were like, "Oh, sorry, Arnold, you're supposed to be wearing all black." He's like, "That's the wardrobe department. I'm wearing this." So he's doing his motion capture stuff for the X-ray scene.
Yeah.
And if he had worn all black like they wanted to, because it got screwed up because it was brand new, they wouldn't have been able to do it because they could see him still on it.
Yeah.
So
they tracked it.
Yeah. I just thought that was interesting.
It's something they do
now
talk
everything
about.
is motion capture.
It's
from
the-
video games, everything.
Yeah. And it's the only digital effect in the entire movie.
Right.
It's that when
It
he's
looks
walking
cool,
through the
too.
X-ray. And they had a camera here filming, and they had a camera behind it filming too. And the director was like, yeah, it didn't really even work out. Thank God we had that other camera, and we were able to put him back in there. Because they couldn't see him. Like, they would just kind of blend it in.
Yeah.
And so a lot of this movie is a lot of puppetry too. Mm-hmm. And puppetry that I think blends very well.
Yeah, that's great.
Because we noticed so the movie opens on Mars, and you've got a guy and a girl on this giant
Mountain.
huge mountain, and it's a huge shot, and that's all blue. That's all inserted. And those two people are the only real things there. So they're walking in, and then you cut and you get it's Arnold, and they're having a moment, and his thing cracks and his face starts bulging.
It's so silly looking.
It is silly looking, but that's a puppet, and you're like, okay, obviously that's a puppet. But later on in the movie, when he's pulling the thing out of his nose, that's also a puppet.
Yeah.
He shoves it up way in there, and then it cuts. And this kind of like this. The director uses the cut to do how I do. So like if instead of he's got it here and you're gonna go over it with the digital effects how they would now, pulling something out, he cut it here. All right, stop. Bring the puppet in. Film it again. Action. Ripping it out. So he did a little bit of live editing, is how I call it.
Oh, right, yeah. In-camera editing.
Yeah, in-camera editing. So that you don't lose any consistency. Everything's still there. And it looks like him.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a puppet, Arnold. I thought that they just had something up in his nose just deep enough to where it bulges over here, and they enhanced it digitally. Not at all. The whole thing, and he holds it out to the camera too. It's still not him yet.
Yeah.
It's not him until
That's
it cuts
cool.
again. That's genius. Mr. Paul also notably has made some pretty violent movies.
Yeah.
And I wrote
This is
down,
no exception.
No,
It's
at
pretty
the
violent.
time, this movie was one of the most violent movies ever. Had the highest body count at the time. Who's tinging over there? At the time, just the highest body count at the time. And they got a lot of notes from the studio to cut down on a lot of the gore. And
That probably didn't go over too well.
well, some of it was cut down, some of it wasn't. And
Right.
I think the final product is a perfect blend between the two.
Yeah.
And he did it sometimes just to do it.
Right.
Like there's a part, at that same part where he's ripping out the thing out of his nose, where Michael Ironside shoots a rat,
Yeah.
and there's a giant
Yeah.
blood. On the commentary, he's laughing. He's like, that is fun. Like he just does it because he thinks it's fun,
Right.
and I appreciate that a lot.
I like too at the end when Michael Ironsides is hanging off the elevator.
And his arms
come out. See you at the party, pal.
So he really wanted to sell the conspiracy hard in this movie. So right off the bat, he wakes up from this dream, and he and his girlfriend, they're in bed, they're kissing.
Sharon Stone.
Yeah, which Arnold said was his favorite scene to shoot because he gets to wake up next to Sharon Stone. And he's telling her about a dream, but she gets mad at him once he says he wasn't with her, it was with a brunette.
Right.
But is he getting mad at her because of that, or is he getting mad at her because he's remembering Mars?
Right. Yeah,
so
the whole movie's
plant the
like
seed.
that.
And he says he leaves, and she says bye, she washes it on, and then she just does one of these, she just, like that,
Right.
and it holds on her.
Yeah.
Why did she do that?
Right.
Like it really.
So is he really? His name is Quaid in the movie, but who's the other guy? Hauser. Is he really Hauser and with his brain messed with, or is he going to get his brain messed with and the whole movie is a dream?
Right.
It's really a good way.
They're selling.
Yeah.
And they don't.
Because she could have been like, that son of a bitch farted before he left.
Right. It could have been anything.
Anything.
Or you just don't hold it there. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
You're trying to say something. I think that was really awesome. When he's sitting down to eat breakfast, I'm going to call the director adorable because he got excited about this. Because Arnold's eating breakfast, watching the news.
Uh-huh.
And then she comes over and she switches the news off, and the whole wall goes like this little bit is news, and then the whole wall is a different landscape.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, the whole wall was blue. We had to put fake wall there, and it was fun. But it also puts you in a altered reality set of mind. The news is the news, but she changes his reality to something that's not real.
It's a fake.
It's fake.
Yeah.
So there's really, really, really a lot of little crumbs that they put. It was intentional.
Yeah.
To raise the conversation of what is real, what isn't real. Mm-hmm. And I think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Let's see
And like when he
here.
goes to Total Recall.
Yeah.
And the implant they're going to give him is called Blue Sky on Mars.
Yes. Which ends up happening at the end, which I don't think
that's the whole
would
thing
happen.
with the machine and everything. It's no, it wouldn't. Well, if they got an atmosphere, it would probably happen if it's the right time of day.
Isn't our atmosphere or our sky as blue as it is because of the reflection of the...
That's what I'm saying. Well, at night, when the sun goes down, it gets red and orange. You know what I mean? So if the sun was in the right place at the right time of day, it would be blue.
Blue, okay. The speaking on the recall program, they market it to you the same way cigarettes are marketed.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's really awesome, but it might kill you. It could, you could end in a lobotomy.
Right. Like his coworkers, like, don't go to those brain butchers.
Right. Yeah.
Don't mess with your brain.
There's
man.
another person trying to stop
And then he's
him
got
from
a
getting to
gun. Yeah.
Mars. And then you find out, and he's holding on. He's got goons and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, you should have stayed away from that. I told you.
Don't have to go there.
Yeah, and it's appreciated, and all this time on this commentary, like the War of the Worlds commentary I watch, has historians that are talking about the culture, the impact, how the effects were done.
Mm-hmm.
This one, these two are like, yeah, I love shooting this scene. It's awesome. Do you remember how long it took us to get this? And it's like, well, they didn't answer that. He's just like, yeah. And then the movie comes back in.
That's cool.
Oh, man.
I guess they had a great time on the shoot, too. And largely because Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
And he was always pulling pranks on people and, like, giving gifts to the crew and
Well,
stuff.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
He had a lot of say in this movie.
Well, it worked out good.
So there's a scene later on, I wrote down here, where they took it out. They were taken out because the studio said we couldn't put it in there. And he talked to the producers. And they're like, well, okay, we'll put it back in there. And I wrote it down here.
Yeah, by the time this movie came out, he had a lot of
He had a lot of weight.
yeah.
Terminator 2 was the biggest thing coming out with him after or around this time before that.
I think it came out after this, but all those 80s action movies really catapulted him up into the stratosphere.
It's the scene when they're on the train.
Mm-hmm.
So later on in the movie, he's on Mars. He gets on a train, and then he looks out the window, and then we get a shot of him, that other guy, on the train, and we're coming out, and the train goes underneath the tunnel, and you see Mars.
Right.
They wanted that out because it was too expensive.
Huh.
It was kind of mucking everything up. They didn't want it. They was going to cut it. Arnold liked it, and he's like, well,
Arnold was right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, how they did that was they projected the film on that train, and they filmed it. It's all practical. That's a real train, a real set. I think it's so cool.
It is so cool, and you can really, you can't tell how crappy it is, but you can appreciate that. It's not digital.
And like because we know that like Earth doesn't look like that.
Right.
We know what we're not looking at is real, but it is real. Like a lot of this stuff was built. All of Mars is either a painting or a set. Right. Very rare was it. Not at all was it a computer generated.
Never.
Image.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's
just
such a entirely amazing thing to do because this is a big project.
Yeah.
Like, this wasn't like, oh, we're going to make Terminator 1 where it's just, we got $15
and
no film license.
They have big names in it, like Sharon Stone was a big at the time and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Obviously,
Michael Ironside.
The budget didn't go to them. It was like... It was a big budget movie because of the special effects.
A budget of $68 million.
Yeah.
Which today is nothing.
Yeah.
You got Gareth Edwards making The Creator for about that much.
Yeah.
So, here we go. But they had this cool effect too. So he gets the recall, and there's a lady painting her nails blue. It's shot in reverse. Her nails are red.
Huh. What's the...
digitally made them blue. So here they are. Because when she paints them red...
just touches them and changes the colors on them, yeah.
So she paints them red, and then she goes about her day. And Paul loved this, too. He's like, no. They were red. We went over, we reversed the shot, so it looks like... Because she starts over here. And, But then computer artists go in and they paint her nail blue. They're all blue, and then they just get rid of that color.
Oh, gotcha.
Because her nails are red.
Right.
Just a little detail you would never think of, and he's fanning out about it.
Yeah. I just thought it was cool that you could change your nail color by just touching them, like the futuristic stuff.
I had noticed also, because he pointed this out, back then they thought the future everybody would have a big flat screen TV on their wall.
Yeah.
That happened.
Yep.
Face calls.
Yep.
Doing that. You can be in your car and talk to you too. There's even robot taxis, which is a motif in the guy who wrote this, his stories. Has a lot of automated taxis. Tesla's got automated cars now.
Yep.
So you're not that far off.
No, you just don't have to have a dummy driver.
Right. Weird. That's all a puppet too.
Yeah.
And that looked like a weird guy. The way that they make those almost human puppets.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty. I like it. It gives
cool.
a level of identity to this movie. The bunker kind of feel of everything.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Mexico was in its new brutalist style, so that was just how it looked.
Yeah, it was.
They put like a couple things up here and there, but everything else that was just it.
Yeah,
he didn't change anything. It's just taking it. I also love that the full door opens. You got that big glass door to get into the recall chamber, and he pulls it, and in the middle of the door spins. So you got two open sides instead of having it open up one way.
I don't remember
open up the other way. It's a little detail, and it comes back later on Mars. The doors don't open like how doors do now. Right. The entire door rotates in the middle. I thought, okay, that's pretty cool. It's pretty futuristic and fun. And now we get to the part where where everything starts getting to be the conversation. Everything up until right around this point is real. This is really him. This is really his life.
Before he goes to recall.
Right. The salesman's telling him, like, we can do this, we can do that. Here's all this stuff.
Right.
He tells him the entire story of the movie.
Yeah, he does.
The entire
That's
story
awesome.
of the movie.
And another little thing, like the blue sky on Mars. Oh, there's a new one. And he just says the whole plot. You do this, 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 and this.
Yeah.
And then he does that, and that.
Exactly like that. And he gets into the chair, and he's programming his perfect woman.
Yeah. And
for
it's
a
the
brief
actress,
second, it's there. And then she goes under, they put him to sleep, and he goes to sleep. That's when it all starts.
Right.
The director said, if you're going to view everything as a dream, that is when he goes to bed. Not when they come back in and he's freaking out,
right,
and they put him to sleep again.
No.
That's part of the dream.
Yeah.
The second he goes to bed the very, very first time to the very, very end of the movie is Total Recall.
Right.
It's the imprint. There's one point where you also have a debate on whether it's a dream or not, and that comes later when the professor shows up.
And he's the sweat part?
Yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Because he then gives him the pill, and he's like, you got to take this. It's time to come out. If you don't, you're going to get lobotomized.
Right.
And he tells him the rest of the story.
Yeah.
He's like, you can stay here, and you defeat the bad guy, you get the girl, blah, 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 and you'll die.
Right.
Or you can take this pill, and you can come out now. The dream's over. So it's kind of cut open between... like, here's how it's going to go. Stop. Here's how it's going to end.
Right.
Stop.
Yeah.
And I think that's very, very clever.
Very clever.
And from then on out, he's got superhuman abilities.
Pretty much.
He's literally a superhero.
Yeah.
All he can now, because he's a guy. He's a construction worker.
And he's a construction worker. That was Arnold Schwarzenegger's idea to why is he so buff?
Right. Because he was something else. They mentioned that. And they picked construction worker because it fit him better.
Yeah.
He's like, nobody would believe me as that. I had to be something else.
Yeah.
And it doesn't go anywhere. Like, it's not, I'm going to go to Mars and I know how constructions work.
Right.
It's just thrown in there to make it more believable.
Yeah.
But you'll notice immediately, like, he's getting jumped, but he knows how to fight now.
Yeah.
He's got a gun and he shoots perfectly.
Right. Yeah, that's great.
It's all
set up too. Is he blew his implant or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's why his muscle memory and everything's taken over
Coming
his
back,
training.
he's a secret agent. That's so clever that they do this. And I like how, because the director, Paul, he did RoboCop, he did Hollow Man, he did Starship Troopers. He did something else I'm forgetting. But it's got good... Or Total Recall, that's the other one I'm forgetting. It's got good commentary in all of his movies. Like, it's and this one I find to be, like, it's almost like you're not aware that it's commentary. You know, like the overabundance on substance, your dream versus reality, getting lost into something and giving up on your real life. It's all here. Because in Starship Troopers, you get sucked into it. The Starship Troopers is propaganda.
Right, that's all.
It's all it is. And when you're watching it, you're like, we gotta kill these bugs. You fall for it.
Where
so
do
I think he's really good. Yeah. And like RoboCop too. Like he's good at what he's doing.
Yeah.
And I think this movie's it really does pitch perfect at. So now he's in his dream. Now he gets to be a spy.
Yep.
With all this stuff. You'll notice that he does your typical like conspiracy things. Like he wraps a towel around his head, like a paper or a aluminum foil hat. Everybody's watching him all the time.
Yeah,
people
the
are trying to kill him.
Stuff.
Yeah,
the people he knew, like his wife and his friend, tried to kill him.
Yeah, I love the part where you find out that Michael Ironside is Sharon Stone's actual husband, and he's like, "What? Do you think she probably hated it?" And he's like, I don't know. And he's like, why? You think she liked it?
Yeah.
And his buddy goes, I think she hated every second of it. That was a part they loved. I also like how the cars have the DeLorean doors.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think that's a cool touch.
Because that's futuristic.
Futuristic, right.
Yeah.
So he hold the ball. Yeah. Also, they point out that they wanted to make a Total Recall 2, but Steven Spielberg ended up making that one called Minority Report, and I kind of want to know how those are connected.
Philip K. Dick wrote them both. That's how they're connected, because they're not the same at all.
Well, I think the idea for it was that
maybe in that world, in
like,
the futuristic world. Yeah. And
or
this happens to somebody else.
Because Minority Report is about getting people before they commit the crime, right?
Right. Pre-crime.
So when I heard that, I was like, what?
And there's psychics in it too, but you want to say they take place in the same universe, I can go there with you, but it's not anywhere near any kind of sequel.
Well, I think it's not a sequel because he didn't get it. He didn't end up doing it. I think if he made Minority Report, it would have been tied into this more because he wanted it to be. Not because it is.
Right.
But because that's what he wanted. I can't speak on the guy who wrote the books that these are based on. But I think that'd be kind of an interesting idea that this is the Minority Report is the sequel to you know, like in Halloween 3 kind of way.
Right.
It's the same universe, it's just different stories.
Yeah, that's it. And you could stick Blade Runner in there too.
Yeah. Throw that in there.
Yeah.
Blade Runner is such a good movie.
Yeah, you should check out Philip K. Dick because it's good stuff.
Yeah.
And there's another he also wrote a book called The Man in the High Castle. And they made a show of that too, and that's good. It's like, what if the U.S. lost World War II? And it's real clever stuff. That guy was really smart, but he had issues. And Minority Report, where you're, he's being chased for something he didn't do.
Yeah.
And this, what's your identity? And A Scanner Darkly, another thing with identity. He had some mental issues, and he was a drug addict. But a lot of his stuff is like that. And it's just really cool. Or I'm a robot, but I'm a person.
Right.
I have memories and stuff, you know,
feelings.
with Blade Runner. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, I could keep blabbing about this movie all day.
Yeah.
This movie is so
I could
good.
blab about Philip K. Dick. If you find out that Philip K. Dick wrote that, you should watch it because like Paycheck did not do good. It's a Ben Affleck movie. I think Uma Thurman's in it too, and that's another identity one because he's supposed to get this huge amount of money for having. He works on a thing, has his memory erased, so he goes to get his paycheck, and it's a bag full of just junk. And the movie's cool how he incorporates all that junk because he saw the future. His stuff is really out there, really cool, and it like even low budget stuff like what is it called? Identity or something, and just check this stuff out.
Check
Good
it out.
stuff. Good if it's you find out Philip K. Dick wrote it.
Check
you
it
should
out.
Check it out. Everything's not as good as Total Recall, but it's all good.
I think Total Recall might be a good starter for you, though.
Sure.
If you like this, check out that. If
Yeah.
you like that, check out this. Really check it all out because
Yeah, it's
I'm
good
enjoying
stuff.
it.
Like Blade Runner is brilliant, but like Blade Runner was made by Ridley Scott,
Right.
who's a visionary director. This was Paul Verhoeven, visionary director. Minority Report, Steven Spielberg. It's and then even the Scanner Darkly is Richard Linklater, and he's a visionary guy too.
Yeah, 100%. So the scene where he basically gets out of the recall chair. From that
Right.
moment on, it's basically a chase.
Right.
It's a chase cat and mouse movie.
And that's another thing. Get your ass to Mars. They couldn't. It takes a long time to get to Mars,
Yep.
and it's probably going to take not quite as long. They couldn't stop them
And
before
all that
he got to
time-
Mars. They got to wait till he gets there.
How did they get there
And
before him?
Michael Ironsides is chasing him on Earth and getting him on Mars.
Right.
So I'm on the same ship you are. Do you know what I mean? That's
so-
kind of a little plot hole there that always bugged me.
What's kind of funny about that too, so he opens up that briefcase, he takes the taxi there, and then he starts going through all of his stuff. But
Yep.
that taxi blows itself up. It
Yeah.
drives into a wall out of nowhere. Shouldn't have done that. The only reason why they did that was so that they had a reason why Michael Ironside knew he was there.
Oh,
That's the only reason why it's there. Why to get to Mars, blah, 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 blah? Well, because the thing told them to do it.
right.
That's the only reason why that line's in the movie, is so that they now can go to Mars.
Right.
He said, get to Mars.
Get your ass to
Cut,
Mars.
now we're at Mars. Like, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking. Like, he did a lot of the editing right there in front of you.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that's so cool because it's
very clever.
right, because you wouldn't think, like, why did that taxi just blow up like that? Mm-hmm. What? But you would be like, well, how did he know he was there?
Right.
You know? Well, how did he know to go to Mars? Well, that's why. This is why. We had to
Yeah.
get to Mars. How are we going to do it? Tell him to go to Mars.
Right.
Clever. But yeah, you're kind of right, because I think it takes half a year and a half to get to
Depends
Mars.
on where the Earth and Mars are, but
Yeah, because you have to be.
yeah.
Because it all moves.
Yeah.
This is
You don't have
1990.
to get
We
all,
did know that.
What? Yeah, they do that.
Yeah, I said it's 1990.
yeah.
We did know that.
But we don't have to get all
Science on it.
Neil deGrasse Tyson about it, ruin all the movies.
Oh, man. I would love to know what he thinks about this, because...
I'm sure you
It's
could find that, and now I'm going to
wild.
look it up
Yeah.
because
Well, he used to do film reviews and stuff like that about specifically
Yeah, right.
the science. Like one of
like
the last
those.
ones he did was BB-8 shouldn't have any traction when
shouldn't,
he's spinning a ball that smooth on sand like that. I was like, oh well, yeah, it would never be able to stop. Well, he would never be able to go because he can't. There's no traction.
Right.
He's too smooth.
Yeah.
So I like
A lot of people think that ruins stuff. I think
it's fun.
I think it's fun. I like that stuff because I don't
do too.
care. I don't care if it's.
Yeah, it's still
I'm watching
good.
a movie. I'm not stupid.
It's not real.
Right.
You know what else is not supposed to happen? A four-armed monster is owning a 50s bar on a metropolis-type planet. Like,
Yeah.
Get out of town. It's a movie. Don't take it so seriously. The infamous mutant
Yeah, the mutants.
at the bar. The mutants at the bar. The one, you know it Yeah, I don't even have to say it. But the
one with the 3 boobs, yeah.
That's not a third one in the middle. So on Family Guy, it's like, it was paper mache. It wasn't. The whole thing is a suit that's rubber that you should put on.
Makes
not
sense.
one of those nipples were real. Because I was thinking about that, because like it looks natural. It looks real. How'd you do that? Because we don't have that. Well, the way you do it is you'd make it real. You'd
Right, you
put
make
it
the
on.
whole thing.
Yeah, and I think that's and it blends in. There's one effect that I think stands out like a sore thumb and looks terrible. And I'm not talking about the eyes popping out the head.
I bet I know what you're talking about.
I think you might. What do you think I'm talking about?
When he takes that head off and he moves really
With it?
weird.
That's weird, and it's very out there, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Quado.
You don't like Quato?
Well, Quado's sitting there, and then you got this wide shot, and all of a sudden, that really thin guy is about 4 people wide. And it's very, very obvious that they're hiding a robotic puppet in this guy's chest. Cool. But like the shots on it where like you can see where it ends here.
Yeah.
And then the rest of his body goes up and he looks funky.
Yeah.
It just looks funky. That's the only one I was like,
Yeah, I suspend my disbelief on that one.
well, because it's cool.
Yeah.
And you're looking at the open your mind guy, which
Open your mind!
came back into the zeitgeist. That whole thing. It was funny with Rick and Morty when they were. It's like a whole bar of Quados. And then it's like, oh my God, the Quado's got a Quado. It just keeps going.
Right.
Man. Then the guy's like, I don't get it. What's a Quado? Watch Total Recall. Because he didn't do anything with it. Or Summer. She had no idea what it was. It's like, well, you didn't do that? Was you not seen Total Recall? He's been saying, open your mind. That whole thing was cool. When you get to see the nuclear facility underground that the aliens built.
Oh yeah.
And it's hanging from the sky, the roof instead of being grounded.
Right.
It grounds itself. Really cool. All a matte painting.
And the 3-finger thing looks cool.
Because the aliens are gone.
Yeah.
That's a cool detail.
Yeah.
Like the people who built this aren't here anymore.
Right. And why wouldn't they turn it on?
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Arnold's in the hotel room. The professor's like, take this or die.
Yeah.
And it gets into another fight scene immediately after that. He breaks his finger. He broke his finger during that fight
with
scene.
the glass? Oh, with the fight scene?
Yeah, the fight scene.
When he smashes that glass, he cut his arm too.
Yeah, they were talking about that. I don't remember where it was in the movie. I think it was the train or something.
He's got it is a train that he smashed. I think he's got the towel on his head when he does it. It might be on Earth.
The glass is supposed to bust in before he hit it.
Yeah.
And it didn't. So he hits it and then it breaks. And he's like, they talk about that too. He's like, yeah, you really punched that glass. But you can't really, I don't know. I think they hid that pretty well.
Yeah, I didn't know that till today.
They show his real wife. And it's like, you can go back to your wife. And it's like, well.
Oh, yeah. Sharon Stone.
If this isn't real, then you're not really here. Shoots him. And then, I don't remember her name. Fugitive wife shows up.
Right.
And they get into an actual fight. And they wanted it to be a real fight. It's not a cat fight.
Uh-huh.
It's not pulling hair and all that stuff. They're doing actual bad kung fu, but they're doing kung fu. And it's a real genuine fight.
It's probably Taekwondo. Sharon Stone learned Taekwondo to get in shape for the movie.
Did he?
Yeah.
Or did she? Paul says it's kung fu, and I've been watching a couple of those old kung fu movies, which they're doing kung fu, but they're doing it performatively.
Right.
So yeah. And this looks bad, and this looks like bad version of that. But that's not something you see really when two women fight.
Yeah.
They take advantage of the fact that it's two pretty women fighting. You're gonna go, oh, it's a cat fight. So he took it seriously. This wasn't just a thing for views. It was they're capable women.
Yeah, right.
She's a rebel fighter and she's a secret agent.
Right.
Like they're not. Yeah, they're gonna
fight for real.
Consider this the divorce.
Yeah.
One of Arnold's favorite one-liners. That one
That
he
is a good
stuck
one.
around. He likes that one a lot. But speaking on Quado, 14 people operated that puppet.
Only 14?
Right? Because you got the arms,
Yeah.
got eyeballs, you got lips and
The
brows
mouth,
and
yeah.
everything.
It looks good.
You familiar with Quado, Randy?
Yeah.
Are you?
As soon as I saw the picture, I was like, they're bringing up the Rick and Morty episode. I already knew it.
Well, yeah.
If you didn't, I was gonna, but did you get Mario vibes?
Mario the video game?
Mario the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think-
yeah.
I
What are you
understand what you're
talking
talking about. The Super Mario Bros.
I
movie
never
with
saw it.
Yes,
John
you did.
Leguizamo. And,
What?
I think you did.
not the cartoon one. The one from the 90s.
Oh.
The live action one with
Okay.
Bob Hoskins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All that underground stuff, I think.
All that kind of
is,
gives me this vibe.
reference to that.
No.
Or okay,
don't
what
see
would
it?
you call
Didn't
that?
get it all.
Because they're like
Post-apocalyptic,
Like-
futuristic.
Hellboy does it when they go to the underground market. I would even say that one movie we did with Bruce Willis, 12 Monkeys, kind of has this vibe with it.
Well, it's the dystopian futuristic vibe.
Yeah, dystopian futuristic
Yeah,
is a good way to put it.
It's a cool aesthetic.
it is a cool aesthetic, and that's why everybody likes it because it's cool. It's not a retro future, and it's kind of like Star Wars in a way, where it's lived in.
Yeah, lived in.
It's dirty. It's not.
Especially 12 Monkeys, because it's
Yeah.
just crap that they can't make new
Scavenge.
stuff. They have to scavenge it, yeah.
Quado also, that piece, once they got it on him, he was unable to go to the bathroom for hours. 'Cause it's on him now. And Arnold sympathized pretty hard with that. He's like, yeah, on the Terminator, on Conan, and with Mr. Freeze, you're in that prosthetics and you're not coming out until they're done. And I think that's kind of cool that Arnold himself brought up Mr. Freeze with Batman
Yeah,
and Robin.
right.
Because, I mean, it was 1990, but even then, that movie wasn't. Well, this movie, the commentary came out in 2001.
Right.
Batman and Robin came out in the late 90s.
Yep.
And was not well received
No.
at all. So it's pretty fun that he's not like, oh, we don't talk about that one. He's like, no, I did that too.
Yeah.
He even
it's
said,
undeniable,
and
yeah.
Mr. Freeze and Batman and Robin. Like, it was fun. I liked that. Like, he's not ashamed of that.
Yeah,
even
he
if
shouldn't
it's
be.
over the top.
Just because it's
He was the
bad.
best part of that movie.
He is the best part of that movie.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like him in that. Burn. The shootout when
Which one?
the mutant the gorillas get found out. They
Oh,
know
right,
where they
yeah.
are now. Benny betrayed him.
Yep.
The shootout there where they're just mowing everybody down took days to film. They got it
Wow.
at every single angle you can possibly get. The second unit came in and reshot it all for days.
Jeez.
That it took so long, not because it was hard, but because it was gonna be used, and everything going on was gonna be used. They wanted every single angle you can get, and that drove the budget up a little bit. But the guy who did the second unit for a lot of the stuff works a lot with Spielberg, and I think he went on to be in ILM and stuff like that. Like,
Really?
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
And Paul was like, "Yeah, I didn't have once I got the dailies back for this one thing, he had my trust. 100%. He did it exactly how I wanted him to do it, if not better.
Huh. That's great.
The one shootout in the bar beforehand, he did that exclusively, and he thought it was better than Paul. Paul said it was better than what he originally had.
That's cool.
So you know that, like, the guy also, that's another thing. And that's probably why I like this so much, is that the director got to fan out about his own movie.
Yeah.
And it
That is
really
what's
sells
really
it for
interesting
you.
about that.
Yeah. Because you like the movie.
Yeah. And you
They
get to
like the
see all
movie.
this stuff, and they are talking cool stuff about it. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I love it.
Now, all my notes are just from that. I got a couple, like, behind the the details I picked up. Other than that, like, everything is from them.
Yeah. And I was watching a Making of documentary, and they said Rob Bottin did the mutant effects, all that makeup and stuff.
Yeah.
And he had a bunch of money to do it. And I was like, why do I know that name? He did The Thing.
Yeah. There's a shot where Arnold...
And that's why they look so good. 'Cause that guy is good.
They look great.
Yeah.
They look really, really good.
Yeah.
Especially
and
the
also,
little girl.
I don't know, Randy, if you can find this one. The guy that has his face is like this,
Yeah.
who, he interacts with Arnold Schwarzenegger and stuff. That's Hank from Breaking Bad.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, I did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
He don't look like him. He put on some pounds, too. 40 years later.
Oh, what was I going to say? Oh, there's the part where Arnold's running away. And earlier in the movie, somebody shot out the glass on Mars, and then because of pressure differences,
Yeah.
the whole room started getting sucked out the window.
Right.
They're running away.
It was at the airport.
and he's about to shoot him,
Yeah.
but doesn't because there's all this glass. And if
Right.
he misses,
Michael Ironside's going to do it. And the
Yeah.
guy's like, don't.
well,
You'll
Michael
break the
Ironside
dome.
just lost his wife. He's like, I don't care.
Yeah, right.
We all die then. And he's like, don't do it. He will kill us all. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of just development. They set it up. A lot of the stuff has setup and payoffs throughout the entire thing. Like when he's in the taxi and they're driving to the bar and he passed the mole, the big digger
Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah, then you see that thing later.
later on.
Benny's gets it from it.
Yeah, he does. That's another one. A lot of the stuff, gory stuff, was longer. Like Benny's death was longer. I guess when he drilled into him, you saw all of his guts coming out. And they cut that. The part where, oh man, Michael Ironside says something to him, and they take Arnold into custody, and then it cuts to the body on the table. That part of the movie, you know what I'm talking about? They're doing the autopsy on the Quado guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
They didn't want it to cut back to Arnold's reaction. They wanted Michael Ironside to say the line, and then it cuts to that body, and they put that reaction in there. And the director's like, no, it's going to be good. It's going to be great. One of the writers, producers was like, no, just cut it. Later on, they're watching the movie on TV. It was AMC, whatever. And he's like, yeah, I was right. You should have cut that. That was horrible. He came back and he's like, I thought that was funny because normally they'll come and say, no, you're right. That it was so good. That's such a good
Yeah,
movie.
right. It's the
no,
other way
it was
around.
bad. Cut it out of there. So we get to the final conflict, and they use the hologram that was set up before
Yeah, right.
to pay off here, and that's really well done. I really like when he's walking around. He's like, ha, 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 "You think I'm the real? I am." Comes in, I think it's funny. It's kind of like a cartoon. I don't know.
I think it's a live action cartoon.
Yeah, like I think you're right on that. I think you really are hitting the nail on the head with that. But of course, he gets the reactor in time.
Yep.
The skies are blue, and we have a bookend ending.
Yes.
He goes out on the mountainside. Well, they're stand up because they got pulled out
Right.
into the mountain. And they fade to white, and the credits roll. Mm-hmm. Now that's very important because normally you fade to black.
Right.
They fade to white on purpose because he just got lobotomized.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's why they did that. I think it's a dream. I think he chose to stay in there and the whole thing, kind of like how Invaders from Mars was, where the whole thing's been a dream the entire time. I think the entire movie from that moment on is about a man dying, and this is what he's doing. Because you have the allegory of like, this is kind of a drug, you know, and if you do too many drugs or a good enough amount of them, you die. Like there's no better time. You had your opportunity. You chose to stay in it. You're good. You're cooked. Your show's over for you. This is what you chose. And there's nothing they could do at that point because you have to willingly give it
Get
up.
out, yeah.
Otherwise, it cooks your brain.
Right.
Which also is commentary, too. He's not afraid to comment on things. Mr.
No,
Paul
not
is.
at all.
I'm pointing out, I said this to you earlier, but I think Paul's French. and Arnold's
Austrian, yeah.
Austrian. So
And
like
they're-
listening to this was you had to get into the zone first, because it was definitely not easy to understand at first. But I enjoy this movie. I think it's fantastic.
It is, and the remake is just garbage.
The remake of the movie was something I wanted to see for so long.
I thought it would be pretty
rewatch
cool,
this
but
don't
no, it's not.
I'm not going to watch it.
Don't
I'm never
bother.
going to watch it.
This is way better, and it holds up today.
Yeah,
Like all the special effects are just really good, and
Yeah.
nothing is like cheesy looking, like how some computer effects get dated really quick,
Yeah.
or some puppet things do. This is just everything is right out of the park. It's great.
I was thinking that too, because they was like, yeah, it's 2001. It's been 10 years since we made this movie, and I'm like, it's 24 years since you've said that.
Yeah, right.
This movie still holds up.
It still holds up.
Looks great. I got the 4K of it. Looks amazing.
I would let anybody watch it too, because it is violent, but it's cartoony violence. And I
Yeah.
can say that, you know what, they don't have cartoon violence anymore.
Not really.
So I
Not
guess
really.
it's I'm dating myself, but it's if you've seen Warner Brothers cartoons, old
Yeah.
Bugs Bunnies, before because on TV they
all
they had
that
cut
started
out
changing.
all that, yeah, for kids and stuff, but there's nothing really objectionable to about it, and everything's
You got a lot of
weird, and-
nudity. You got a lot
You
of,
only have one.
well, they show it a lot, you know,
Nah.
and a lot of swear words.
There is a lot of swearing.
If you're okay with
swearing and violence, you could. I think this movie's great. It's a lot of fun.
too. I give it 2 ginormous thumbs
Two
up.
thumbs up.
Do you wish you would have watched it for this episode, Randy?
Yeah, this one I would have. The one that they would have saw before this, I don't. But this
Invaders
one
from
I
Mars,
do.
Yeah, you should
This one
check it
gets a Tom should have watched it.
out. Don't be like Randy. Watch the movie.
Right. You could
good.
still check it out, Tom.
Yeah, it's
And you
I
should.
forgot
For
it.
one of the
fun.
episodes when we retrack it and then we actually get when I watch it.
But I think that's all I've got to say about Total Recall.
Two
Massive
thumbs
hit.
up. Yeah, it was a
Stands the
huge
test of
hit.
time. Big for Arnold. Big for
Yeah, he was like, he hadn't crested yet. I think his next movie might have been Last Action Hero.
or the Running Man.
Running Man was way before this. So
Was
it
it?
was in the 80s. Yeah, I was in high school and that came out. But yeah, and then he kind of stumbled with that Last Action Hero. That was not a good big blockbuster for it. But then he came back with True Lies.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely check this out
Definitely.
because I think it's on a list of must-see movies.
It is. And you can watch it and think about, well, is it a dream, blah, 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 and all
Right.
that stuff. Or just look at it and go along with it for the ride.
Right.
You don't, it's a good time.
It is. It's a very good time. You know what else you should check out? You should check out this podcast.
All the time. Every
should.
week you should.
Every week we come at you every afternoon on Sunday. Nope, Saturday at 3 p.m. Check us out. We are on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, Audacity. We're everywhere you can listen to a podcast. Find us on Facebook. Find us on Instagram. We're anywhere where you want to go. We like to be where you are.
That's right.
Leave a comment, leave a like, share this with your friends and your family. Let us know if you're in a dream. It's time to wake up, Dave. It's time to wake up. But yeah, like I said, fantastic movie. Check it out. Check out us. Check out our website, thegrindhousepodcast.com, where you can see our shows all right there. You can also see a pretty cool tab that says merchandise.
That's right.
Click on that tab. It takes you over to our Printify shop where you can find t-shirts, coffee mugs, posters, phone cases, magnets, stickers, and more. Check it out. Check us out.
Makes a great gift.
Makes a great gift. Happy, probably
Lee
St. Patrick's Day.
Day.
I have been Cheese Film,
Get your ass to Mars.
And I'm Brandy Official,
and this has been
the
Grindhouse
Grindhouse Podcast.
Cheese Film. Out.